Hello there and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to have a rough overlook over certain interesting aspects of the Soviet Navy in the closed beta at least, and I want to lose a few words about a few ships that I'm interested in and just point out the interesting parts. So first of all, I begin with the low battle rating ones and their overall design and end up with the Krasny Kafkas, I hope I pronounced that right, which currently feature the biggest naval guns within War Thunder with 4 180mm B1K naval cannons. And I want to lose a few words why that is that interesting for me. So I hope you stay with me. But first of all, I want to have a look at the Pr.191M LRS. This was part of a package that you could buy yourself 2 years ago for guaranteeing yourself the entry in the closed beta, pre-closed beta of War Thunder ships. Yeah, it's been like 2 years if I'm not mistaken, and it's a beautiful thing, but it has its limitations. So you might think, oh, it's overpowered because rockets and machine guns and, you know, T-34 turret, but it has its limitations, especially with rough waves. The same goes for the Pr.191M, which I have then ace gameplay for you, Survivor. Nothing extremely spectacular, but it just shows the general theme for some of the Russian ships. Again, we have a 85mm gun and at battle rating 2.0, backed up by two dual 14.5mm KPV machine guns, and they are also highly interesting. And from that ship I have gameplay for you. Some of them might already lose interest. Stay with me, it will become apparent soon. Sorry about that. Then you can see I already am researching here the Pr-183 Bolshevik with the two dual 25mm, and they are also highly interesting. When I played this ship, it was really fun, it was really direct, aggressive and straightforward, and I want to research some of those ships as well. One of the odd ships here is the Pr-1204 late, because of those quadruple turret with 30mm automatic grenade launchers. Plamia. I've no idea how they work. Really interested in it, how effective it is, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But you can see 3 to 2mm, not really straightforward, amazing, let's put it that way. But I could be mistaken, maybe this is a lol one-shot everything machine. And then also, what was the other one? No, that was not it. Yeah, this one, for instance, because it is an old friend of mine, also from the pre-closed beta. It looks just amazing. The T-34-85 turrets, they just of this MBK PR-186 are amazing. How this works out, I've seen a lot of them in battle. They are amazing to look at, and they're also not that straightforward to take out. So it's not like they have no protection. So you actually have to aim, you actually have to know how to use HE and AP to the best use. So, you know, it's not really a patrol boat in the normal sense, like an S100 or something like this, and they're not that terribly slow. Another thing is the Pr-206 with the double 30mm AK-230, very similar to a German ship, or a ship that is very similar in the German tech tree. And I'm really interested how they will perform if they're close to the performance of the Mk103 mountings, in terms of overheat, reload, damage output, all those things. So that is then highly interesting. The belts are not looking that impressive. I'm a fan of AP. So that then brings us to Yeah, that's also a very interesting design, the Pr.159. And here we have two dual 76mm AK 726 automatized artillery system. Again, a lot of ammunition and a well, torpedo launcher with 5 tubes. So how this will turn out, I have to see. The ammunition is, oh, that's also with radio fuse, so that might be one of the best anti-aircraft, well, ships in the game. So I definitely have a look for that. Bit of armor, but nothing too special. So, and that then brings us to the Krasny Kavkaz. Now this is already a big ship, and I guess Gaijin has to readjust their camera angles for the harbor soon. I think this might just be the biggest ship in the game currently, and it is it's somewhere an intermediate between a light cruiser and a heavy cruiser in terms of size, secondaries, and overall firepower, because we have here what I would consider 7-inch guns. So the next step are 203mm 8-inch guns, and those 4 180mm B1K naval cannons are highly interesting. You can see single mountings, 2 in the front super firing, 2 in the back super firing, and then we have a lot, and I mean a lot, of 100mm Minizini naval cannons, funny name here, 6 double mountings, as well as various 76 and 45mm mountings, a lot of 37 and 12.7mm mountings as well, and even 6 torpedoes per side. So this is not something that lacks firepower. What about the armor? Well, we have a belt, 75mm from the front to the rear. Upper belt is 25mm, deck armor 20mm, and yeah, in the funnels there is no protection, but you know, no spaced armor or turtleback armor really visible. So we'll have to see how it actually fares in direct firefight with the Emden, and the reason for that is very simple. Fuel tank, ammo racks just under the waterline, as it is common. I mean, those are 24,000 rounds for the 100mm Minizini naval cannons. I just cannot get over it, how funny that sounds. Speed, not that impressive, but it's stock, nearly 9,500 tons. Yeah, that's a big ship. Now I want to really point out here the ammunition. That's actually a mistake. It should be 100mm guns, high explosive and anti-air high explosive. If you have good crew, that will be a flak inferno. Same goes for the 76mm and the 45mm that just fire HE. The 180mm guns, I mean, look at this, 60mm of HE penetration. That is overcoming a lot of the belt armor on the Emden, but I guess the turtleback design, the spaced armor design, will stop too much high explosive damage into the Citadel. But for that, and this is now the question, the APC rounds. First of all, nearly 100kg heavy warheads, 920 meters per second muzzle velocity, and a fuse sensitivity of 50mm. So that's highly interesting. I have no idea how much high explosive it contains, how well the fuse delay is. This is very important if we want to bypass the turtleback design of the Emden. If you have a long fuse delay, that just could be enough with overmatch and whichever mechanics there are within War Thunder's naval section. But the penetration values, 350mm. That's quite something. And that is now, of course, down to the muzzle velocity. And also the retention at 2 kilometers, we dropped just under 300mm, even against 60 degrees angles of attack, 133mm. That's quite a lot. But the question is, how will it retain it at longer distances? And that's very interesting if we want to talk about long-range engagements. You can see you have nearly over 200 rounds per gun. So we'll have to see how actually Gaijin distributes that between HE and APC. And you know, there is the plunging fire going on for the 150, 152mm guns at 4 to 5 kilometers. How long they keep a relatively flat trajectory, so it's easier, more reliable to hit the enemy targets. How much damage you do with a single shell, be it HE or APC. All those questions are highly interesting for me. So this is a ship that I really want to get my hands on. Battle rating 5.0. I think that is something that we really have to look out for, especially in comparison to the Emden. Not so much, I guess, for the USS Trenton. So, yeah. The Pr.191M. Back to this ship. I played it a bit. I had a bit of fun with it. Leaving all the compression and balance issue and map design issues aside, and the spam of certain vessels that have nothing to they have no business at this battle rating, like the LCS and SF40 Leichte und Schwere, you know. The ship is actually straightforward. It's not terribly slow. You can go to places. You have firepower. You should more rely on your secondaries, on your 14.5mm KPV. You have enough ammunition, but the 85mm, it's a bit of a mixed bag. If the sea is calm and you have a good position in a 1 versus 1, you really can deal damage at longer distances than with your machine guns, of course. And muzzle velocity is not bad, but the stock HE shell, you know, this AP-HE BC round should be the first thing that you go for. It offers you so many more options in fighting enemy vessels, Alpha Strike versus DPM, and also the second belt, the APIT belt, is the one to go. It really has so much more feelable damage output than, for instance, the universal belt. Although it's not really bad, this just is better. Good firing arcs, a good reload rate. We have also a touch of armor, 7mm, 14mm, 30mm, so high explosive damage can be repelled from small guns, also machine gun fire if you're angling. So this is not that easy to take down. So without further ado, let's have a quick look at the gameplay and let's see what the thing can do. So here we are again on a beautiful map. Again, you can see the map design. When you are in the capture zone, you're automatically can shoot into the enemy's spawn zone. So not the best kind of gameplay overall design or map design. There is our first customer, and you can see I have a bit of a problem with the ping, and also while I was playing this, I was rendering another video in the background, so hence I personally have some frame rate drops. It was stuttering, which is not that apparent, I have to say, in the recording. It was a bit worse with the gameplay, but you can see it's still there. Yeah, I actually asked the last from my PC, and this guy just escapes. And I have to avoid here the island and turn into, and fearlessly I go into A. And as you might have noticed, my 85mm is shooting wildly. I use it in particular just only against hard targets, or when I have to snipe something at longer ranges. For those brawling scenarios around capture zones, or when you come around a corner, the 14.5mm are just better. Now, the next thing that you need to notice is here that the sea is relatively calm, and this is, well, the best scenario that you can get. Once there are waves, you can forget a lot of the Soviet ships. At lower battle ratings, they have no stabilizer, the elevation speed is terrible, but in calm seas it's the other way around. They are really fantastic. So if there is rough water, just get into the next match because it's just a waste of time. And I think this is the same for a lot of the American and German low battle rating ships, that they not just have the lack of firepower and are more fragile than even same battle rating ships or vessels, but they also cannot really fire their guns at the enemy. In strong contrast here, look at this, how the crew number just drops, and wow, it goes really fast. Once you find your distance, once you get into the rhythm with the guns, you just are absolutely murdering the enemies. There are belts, there is a reload. So when you have fired for quite a bit, you should actually, reload the guns, or just fire once they're empty, and then go through the reload before the next engagement. But this is kind of the overall 101 of, you have to handle it a little bit like an SPA. That's what I want to say. The 85mm here with the toggled gunners also gives away the position of vessels without them being directly locked behind islands, which is very useful if you can, if you notice this. Currently, I just wait here up until I can go somewhere, and at the moment we have 2 of the 3 capture zones. I have no idea where the remaining enemies are. I have look at the minimap, and we can see that some of our teammates are engaging with another vessel. That is funny. Yeah, usually once you don't have the upgraded rangefinder, usually your gunners are aiming too low, as you could see there in a spectacular fashion. At least it feels like they're aiming too high. Maybe the closing speed is also something. And there, the guy that just noticed me in chat got blown literally into pieces by an enemy. And I tried to turn around and avoid his torpedo, and then go back into A to reclaim it for our team. So the playstyle on those small maps is very predictable, and I think if the spawn zones would be twice as far apart, that would not really hurt the game. But this is again then the question, how useful are then really slow vessels like the AFD series or the SF40s. You might laugh at this, but this is a significant portion of the German tactic, for instance, or very slow vessels from other upcoming nations. So I know it's not that easy to design a map, but to make them that small is really... I'm just going from one capture zone to the other, trying to cap it and trying to engage the enemy first. And you can see the damage output, the DPM of those 14.5mm is much more meaty than from the comparable Russian 12.7s that are nowhere near in terms of sheer damage output, and they do not also really offer anything. They do not really shoot faster, they don't have a DPM advantage, they don't have really bigger belts or anything like this. So the 14.5s, they feel like very hard hitting 20mm, especially with the armor piercing belts. So because when somebody is going bow in, you can penetrate through the various different compartments. And that is then also very important. And this is now our 6th kill. So you can see it's really far away. It's dead, Jim. It's dead, Jim. Don't shoot at a dead wreck, man. Okay. The thing is, it's not like a 40mm from the Americans. That's a completely different thing. However, it offers several advantages compared to other gun types of the same caliber or similar caliber. They're really much meatier than the even the American 50 caliber machine guns, which then have the advantage of higher rate of fire and also larger magazines, or rather belts. But the sort of alpha strike of this DPM guns, which sounds really crazy, is actually, I guess, spot on. If you get into the rhythm with them, if you get the hang on them, they really don't disappoint. Again, as a very specific thing to the guns and the ships. Of course, if the aiming system then suddenly goes whoop and just decides to shoot somewhere, that is highly annoying, and there is nothing that you can do that is not an issue with the ship. So I try to distinguish here between strong things that the ship has going for it, or if it just fits the meta. So while I'm doing here the last circles, I have to say that's it for this match. 6 kills when there were just 6 enemies, and we got a survivor award, which is always nice, with 2 caps and no kill assists. So that sounds really great. Let's have a quick look at the results, and we can see that it is really noticeable in terms of income that Gaijin has doubled it. I still think it should be just a touch more if you have that many kills in such a small lineup. With just only 37,000 silver lines. Lots of them are coming from the awards, and 3,000 something RP, 1,242 score points, and we can see we're not even fully upgraded. So that's it for me today with this ship, with a preview of the Russian Navy that I'm really looking forward to. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves and in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.